Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, one of the architects of Obamacare, said that living longer than 75 years, quote, robs us of our ability to contribute to the world. This is the culture in which they are absorbed. This is the television they are watching. These are the blogs they are reading. And this is the education they're receiving. It's no wonder that our young people are so abortion vulnerable in our society. 75% of abortions that occur in the United States occur among women under the age of 30, and 18% of them happen to teenagers. Healing the culture is the antidote. Today, Healing the Culture is a major national voice in pro-life education. There's no one else doing the work that we're doing. My dream is that there will come a day when I don't have to say that anymore, when every child in every school is receiving the kind of education that we have to offer. Now, if you're new to Healing the Culture, you can think of our organization and the work that we do like the blood that runs within the body or the veins of the greater pro-life body. You drain the body of the blood and nothing else works. At Healing the Culture, we've dedicated our lives to understanding why people embrace abortion and euthanasia. And in the vast majority of cases, it's not because they've never seen an image of an unborn child. It's not because they've never heard what the church teaches about these issues. The biggest reason why people support abortion and euthanasia is because they don't understand why they should be pro-life. And the reason why they don't understand why is because they've accepted a very narrow and a very corrupted language from this culture about the meaning and purpose of human life. Our culture has taken out the language that God has put within our hearts about who we are and about what we're meant for, and has replaced it with the lie that people are the sum of their biological parts, that happiness is money and power and prestige and popularity, that quality of life is comfort and pleasures, that success is being better than everyone else, and love is being admired and affirmed, that suffering is the greatest of all evils, or at least something to be avoided at all costs. Freedom is having all your options open all the time, and morality and human rights are defined by popular vote. Now, I'm not saying that most people in the world are completely blinded by these empty beliefs. In fact, in our work with students across America, we've learned that most of them do have a sense that there is more to life than soccer. They do understand that true love requires a gift of self. And they do understand that freedom frequently requires making commitments, that suffering can have great meaning. But their day-to-day default drive, the one they're operating out of, is to operate out of the corrupted language that the culture has pushed on them. Why? Because it's easier. Do you remember a few minutes ago when I told you to put your hands up in the air and then I told you to keep them there? How many of you are still doing it? Not a single one, except for this cheater right here. Not a single one. Why? Because it was easier to keep your hands down, to put your hands down than to keep them up. Because I never gave you a reason why you should put them up there. And after a while, you looked kind of silly. And it kind of hurt. And you decided nobody else was doing it, and maybe I didn't really mean it, and you put them down. Our young people today are very much like this. Our young people today hear what they're supposed to do, but they're never told why. And so when it begins to hurt or threaten their comfort, or threaten their sense of meaning in life, or their sense of happiness, they grow afraid. And then they lose courage, and then they give up. That, my friends, is why we need Healing the Culture. A good friend of mine, who is also a leader in the pro-life movement, once tried to convince me that if all of us would just use the word or the phrase poor choice instead of pro-choice, we could solve the abortion issue overnight. But you see, solving the abortion problem isn't about changing the external language that people hear with their ears. It's about changing the internal language that people hear with their hearts. We have to do the difficult, long-term work of educating our young people about why we are pro-life. And it includes teaching them a whole new language about happiness and success, quality of life, love, suffering, ethics, freedom, rights, personhood, the common good. These are the terms that the culture of death has co-opted, and which leads people like a Pied Piper into a life of fear, despair, and hopelessness. If we really want to really convert people on the pro-life issues, convert them like we've been converted, we need to engage them in deep philosophical education that literally changes the way people think about life and inspires them to live for what is noble and good and just. This is what we do at Healing the Culture. We create teaching tools for schools and churches, for organizations, businesses, and families to deliver this kind of education. We train teachers, pastors, and religious educators. We train people who can share this language in the media and in medicine, in business, in entertainment, in law, and politics. But more than that, we're not interested in just creating important educational resources that we're really proud of, but do nothing more than sit on our shelves. We want to create products that actually get used, and that actually change people's minds and hearts, and that literally move the needle on abortion and euthanasia. It's the right thing to do, and it's what you've hired us to do. So, we'll be spending a great deal of time and resources in the next several years on 3 vital strategies. First, we're expanding our materials and teacher resources. We've created the most sophisticated, multi-dimensional, multimedia, technically savvy pro-life curriculum for 9th through 12th grade students. It's called Principles and Choices, and it includes internet materials, video, audio, drama, internet games, interactive games, and social media components. We have a college-level and advanced study text called 10 Universal Principles, which was written by Father Spitzer. And we have a training program for professionals that we call Life Principles Academy. Our approach is pioneering in pro-life education because of the content we teach, because of the sophisticated contemporary methods of delivery that we use, and because of the vast amounts of research and field testing that we do with our program. There's no other pro-life program like ours in the world. By next semester, our books will be available as ebooks. Some of our material will be translated into Spanish, and a 4th book for the 12th grade is going to hit the market in 2015. Secondly, we're meticulously testing our methods, our products, and our approach to make sure that everything we do is reaching people, answering their questions, and having the effect that we need. We kind of view our product as being a little bit like the iPhone. When Apple first came out with the iPhone in 2007, it was hailed as the best smartphone that had ever been created. But since then, they've come out with 7 new versions, making it better each time. That's what Principles and Choices is like. It's the best, most sophisticated pro-life education resource ever created. And we're going to continue making it better, because it's a lot more important than a smartphone. And thirdly, we're investing major resources in marketing our products. Contrary to popular belief, it is not easy to get good pro-life education into our faith-based schools. Many of the Protestant and evangelical schools tell us that pro-life is a Catholic issue. And many of them think that their young people are already pro-life. Newsflash. The opinions of Christian students on abortion and euthanasia are identical with their public school counterparts. 52% of Protestant students and 51% of Catholic students believe that abortion should be legal. At least 65% of women getting abortions in America are Christian. Students attending private religious schools are more likely to have abortions than students in public schools. It's also a challenge with Catholic schools. Many teachers tell us that they're already teaching pro-life. Of course, when we inquire about what they're using, it's usually a 1-page summary on the pro-life issues in the religion textbook. And these summaries almost never are effective at helping young people resist the cultural tide because they don't lay out any kind of a case for why you should be pro-life. And they don't answer the multitude of questions that students have. And they do nothing to change the core in the student's heart of what they're looking and living for. So young people get frustrated, and they get angry, and then they believe that the church doesn't address real people's problems. Nothing could be farther from the truth. And that's why we're investing major resources over the next 5 years doing intensive marketing, telesales, direct mail, advertising, web and social media, and trade show exhibits. Getting into schools in every state requires that we work from the top down and the bottom up. So our highly trained team of telesales and marketing experts have called every bishop, every superintendent's office, pro-life office, school principal, and religion teacher. We've spoken to thousands, hundreds of samples, and sent tens of thousands of postcards and electric communications. And this is only the beginning. Thanks to a grant from an anonymous foundation, we were also able to equip every diocesan library with a complete set of our high school materials so that teachers have somewhere local that they can go to actually view the materials and preview them before they decide to use them. It takes several months and even sometimes years for schools to go through all the channels of meetings, reviews, and approvals. The process requires that our staff travel extensively, and we have to convince schools to use the program, help them find room in their curriculum, give them time to raise the funds they need, and then train all their teachers. This three-pronged approach is a lot of work, my friends. You have to work hard to get our schools and religious education programs to give our young people the pro-life education that they deserve. That old phrase, if you build it, they will come, it ain't true. That's like saying if you put a pro-life initiative on the ballot, they will vote for it. You and I both know that it can take millions of dollars in public relations, communications, and advertising to get anything passed on the ballot. But we do it because the human beings we are fighting for are worth it. They are worth every dollar. So what do we do? If it's worth spending $1 million on a campaign for a local pro-life initiative that may save 100 or even 1,000 lives, how much is it worth to educate hundreds of thousands of young people in a whole new language that will change their lives forever for the better and will save the lives of their little unborn sons and daughters? Over the next 5 years, Healing the Culture will be implementing a major campaign called Converting 200,000. It will aim to educate and transform 200,000 high school teenagers in 5 years. We will mold 200,000 young people into solid, enthusiastic, confident, and courageous pro-life leaders. What we need tonight to raise this program and kick it off is $200,000. That sounds like a lot, but it's $1 a student to get the ball rolling. So, to start, my husband and I are going to begin tonight with a $1,000 pledge. That's like sponsoring 1,000 kids. And it leaves only $199,000 that we need to raise tonight. Father Spitzer and Dr. Dale Peterson will tell you more about that in just a moment. But first, I get to share with you the good news. Our hard work is paying off. This fall, Healing the Culture has already reached the benchmark of 25 schools across the country using our curriculum in their classrooms. We have a map on that side of the room that will show you with pinpricks where those schools are and a list of all those schools using our program. 5,000 young people across the country today are actively pursuing and learning our Principles and Choices program. And that doesn't count the churches and parishes that are using our program as well. The responses from teachers and dioceses is tremendous. I just finished a teacher training for the Diocese of Sacramento yesterday, and we trained 15 teachers in our program. One of them was the head of theology of the theology department of a Cristo Rey High School in Sacramento. These are schools that cater to the very bottom rung of students, the students who are affected and influenced by alcohol, drugs, gangs, violence, promiscuity. These are kids who come from very disadvantaged families and who would risk dropping out of school altogether if it weren't for the work and study programs that are available to them at Cristo Rey schools. The head of the theology department, Chuck Texiera, told me yesterday that our program is the first that has finally got his students thinking on the life issues. He told me, you can see their longing for higher purpose. They get it because they've suffered for so long on happiness levels 1 and 2. We get these comments all the time from teachers across the country. Mother Teresa Christie of Cardinal Newman High School in Santa Rosa, California says, I wish I'd learned what my students are learning when I was their age. Each lesson honors intellect and free will so that faith may grow more deeply in their young lives. Donna Tarney with Charlotte Catholic High School in North Carolina says, I'm always on the lookout for ways to bring the complex issues of morality and justice to my students. Principles and Choices does this for me. Gary Landau, who's the Director of Catechetical and Youth Ministries for the Diocese of Belleville, Illinois, writes, I've never seen anything better than Principles and Choices to teach ethics and morality to high school students. The comments that we receive from bishops and other church leaders across the country are equally exciting, and you can read their comments, their words of support, and their words of endorsement on our website, principlesandchoices.com. But most important has been the responses of the high school students themselves. 90% of the students who take our course afterwards self-report that it completely changed their thinking on what happiness really is. 90% said that they were deeply able to apply what they learned to their own lives, with several indicating that it even made them draw closer to God or help them to resolve difficult moral questions in their lives in a better way. Over 80% told us that the material made them think more deeply about abortion and euthanasia than they ever had before. 35% said that after going through only a quarter of our program, they had already changed their opinion on abortion and euthanasia. And among those who were already pro-life, nearly all of them moved from being either confused or embarrassed by their pro-life beliefs to being confident and proudly pro-life and ready to defend their position in public. These statistics can only get better as we continue to partner with schools across the country. In closing, I want to share with you a little anecdote. My 4-year-old daughter, Juliet, who many of you met tonight, has these skinny little dolls called Spaghetti Girls. And these, I don't know if you've seen them, but they have this very odd ability to detach. And so you can take off their arms and their legs and their torsos and kind of interconnect them with other spaghetti dolls to give them different outfits. Personally, I think it's a little creepy. But anyway, yesterday I was playing with Juliet, and she gave me one of these Spaghetti Girls. And this particular one she gave me only had an upper body and a head. So I held it out in front of me and said, "Oh, hello, I'm half a person." And Juliet looked at me and she said, "Mommy, how can you be a half a person if you're a person?" My daughter is brilliant. She has figured out what academics like Richard Dawkins can't see, that human persons are more than just their body parts. Our goal is that every child will know what it means to be a whole person, and that this knowledge will set them free to live lives of true happiness, meaning, and purpose. With your help, I know we will get there. Thank you for standing with us.